Ricmotech GT Challenge, broadcasted Mondays live on Apex Racing TV. Visit ExtremeMotorsports99.com for series and schedule details. Broadcast coverage next.
Hello race fans, welcome to the Ricmotech GT Challenge, live here from Zolder in Belgium. We are here for the GT Challenge series here in the Ricmotech paddock, and this race is presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Speaking of Elite Texans, joining me in the booth today is my colleague Austin Knight, and bringing you these wonderful images and graphics is Dennis Branch in the production booth. Now, before we have a look at what happened last week, Austin, how are you feeling heading into this race on the other Belgian circuit?
Oh, this race is going to be a absolute storm of a race. There are some clouds in the skies, but I don't think it's going to give us any trouble today. Just an hour or two down the road from Spa, where we had our last amazing round, we're going to head to a completely different track here at Zolder, and we're going to give y'all a recap right now.
The Ricmotech Racing Simulators GT Challenge returned for Season 3, and with it came the return of top-level drivers from seasons past, and of course the introduction of a few new teams to the series as we entered Round 1. As the GT class took the start, preseason jitters were already underway as the 000 of Miguel Alcrudo attempted a 4-wide overtake on the inside entry of Turn 1. Fortunately, he backed out, but the attempt did distract the 16 of Travis Schwenke, causing him to make contact with the 55 of Miguel Alcrudo Sr. and ending his race with a damaged rear axle. The number 16 of Schwenke was issued a 5-second post-race time penalty for the contact, but would continue on. The GT3 class would not begin without its own drama, as Eau Rouge would have its way with the cold tires when the 188 of Matthew Molnar breaks grip just slightly on exit, connecting with the 5 of Tyler Guillemette, creating Nightmare on Kemmel Straight, a movie none of these drivers wanted to see. 6 cars were severely damaged in total. This gave Elvis Rankin and Caleb Lavender an opportunity to stretch their lead early. However, the rest of the GT3 class had a different idea. They were on a mission with 2nd through 5th getting back within 2.5 seconds behind the leader. This pattern continued for several laps into the race as the number 1 of Elvis Rankin would maintain his lead and begin to pull away as the laps would pass. Back in GTE, Dennis Sevredek began stretching out his lead early in that BMW M8 as Miguel Antonio Alcrudo and Travis Schwenke would continue the chase and battle over 2nd for several laps until lap 6, when Schwenke makes a move into 2nd at the end of Kemmel Straight. Miguel Antonio Alcrudo would find himself in yet another battle, this time with series veteran Mike Dam for 5th place exiting turn 11. Dam would continue his march as he closed in on 4th by the next lap and was able to distract Rafael Sosa on entry to the chicane and made a beautiful undercut move to take over 4th place. On lap 11, Rafael Sosa would again find trouble in the chicane when losing the back end on exit, allowing Robert Hartley and a train of his competitors to pass, dropping him all the way to 9th. On lap 26, the Aquila-sponsored Porsche 911 of Justin Corral makes his final move of the race to overtake veteran iRacer Robert Hartley at turn 7 to take over 5th. Over in GT3, Loeski Diolio and Chris Thorman tried desperately to hold back Caleb Lavender in his Audi R8 as he made a move on lap 11 to take over 5th place. On lap 25, David Duino begins to feel the late pressure of Caleb. As they head out of Eau Rouge, Lavender in that number 9 Audi makes a slipstream move into Lacombe to take over 4th. Joel Lee in that number 20 Aquila Racing Machine would find himself in a battle with just 4 laps remaining for 8th place as he gets the pass done in turn 1 over that number 80 of Derek Holland. In the end, for GT3, it was Elvis Rankin who would bring that Little King racing machine to victory lane, with Cameron Martineau and Caleb Lavender rounding out the podium. In GTE, Dennis Sevratic and his band of others, number 79 BMW M8, would take a commanding victory with a solid second-place finish from Travis Schwenke, who was issued a 5-second time penalty early in the race, but still managed to finish 6.3 seconds ahead of third-place finisher Mike Dam.
There you are there. That's what happened last time out at Spa-Francorchamps, also in Belgium. Today we're at a completely different circuit. Spa's wide open and flowing. Zolder, very narrow and really quite technical races. So let's have a look at our track guide, thanks to our sponsors Ricmotech, to show you the way around this tight and twisty.
Welcome everyone to Circuit Zolder, located here in Zolder, Belgium. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this very technical 2.5-mile road course. The course was actually built all the way back in 1963, but it has hosted a plethora of different motorsports events ever since. Well, let's head up the front straightaway here as we notice our main grandstands to the left, our pit area to the right. Coming across the stripe, we'll head down into turn 1. Very fast entry here into 1. We'll come off the brakes, let the car roll right to the center, because we're going to have to track all the way back left to set up this entry into turn 2. Down into third gear here, let that car rotate. Now we can really open it up, as turn 3 is a very fast entry into apex. And then we'll come up into the entry of turn 4. One of my favorite corners here. You can really get to the throttle quick and come up onto this short straightaway. This track has such beautiful technical corners to it as we come down into the first chicane on the lap here. Very fast left-right entry, and then up the hill into a blind corner. That's right, down the hill into turn 6, and then into one of the heaviest brake zones here into the second chicane of turn 7. Left, right, left, and then back right again for that double apex coming up out of 7. Very fast exit here, and you will see some overtaking opportunities as we come into this little off-camber dip and down the hill into another fast entry of a corner here, the hairpin. Out of 9, up into the entry of turn 10, which is just a quick little left-right chicane. And then we head up the short straight here into the entry of turn 11. You'll see our pit entry there straight ahead. Back to the left, back to the right, and then up off the final corner of 11, back onto that front straightaway here, and to open this car up to head down into turn 1 once again. There's your track guide for Circuit Zolder. Thank you for being with us.
That is the way around this wonderful old school circuit here at Zolder. Now, we've had one round so far of the championship. So let's the GTE class and see how everyone's getting on there. So top of the standings is Dennis Sevratic in the 7th points, heading away from Travis Schwenke in the number 16 BMW. Fourth is Jeremy Dawson in Berlin. Fifth, Justin Corral in 115 Porsche. Sixth, Jordy Fike. Seventh was Robert Hartley. Eighth is Arthur Chan. Ninth, Ori. 10th, Jonathan Coral. 11th, Rafael Souza. 12th, Miguel Aldrudo Sr. My apologies. And 13th is Miguel Aldrudo in the 000. Now, those two guys with the same surname and very close to the same first name, they actually came together 9th and 10th in last season's championship, so they can't be separated at all on either the timesheets or in the championship points. Austin, how are the GT3 runners looking after round 1?
Well, the GT3 runners are currently being led out by Elvis Rankin ahead of Cameron Martineau, followed by Caleb Lavender, Sergio Mepti, David Donino, Loske Deolio, Chris Orman, Jolie, William Dillon, Derek Holland, Raymond G. Rodriguez, Tony Kernan, David Munoz, Jeff Jacobs, Jeremiah Kelman at 15 points, followed by Kevin C. Ford, Ken Ladd, Russ Ruddick, Bobby Childs, Matthew Milnar, Nathan Manning, Kevin Augustin, and Steve G. Daniel. Those last three guys didn't actually score a point yet. They had a very tough race.
So thank you, Austin. That's how our runners and riders are going so far. So a little bit like in the real world, we've seen a lot of race series staying in the same country to try and avoid people moving around to try and reduce the risk of COVID-19 contraction. And, well, we've done the same here in the virtual world with the Ricmotech series. We've just come into the road from the shop to Zolder. But although they're in the same country, that's about where the similarity ends, because this is a completely new challenge. I have to say, I enjoy driving this circuit just as much as I do Spa. But, wow, look at this in qualifying. The drivers at the moment, they're out for their solo qualifying session. They've got 15 minutes to do that, so they've not got to worry about traffic or anything like that. They can go out with the track to themselves and set their fastest lap times. In GTE, well, it's Mr. Savretic and his BMW once again. They've won at 25.9, 6/10 of a second faster than one of the Corrals, and the other Corral, Coral, yeah, they're both going to be right up front there as well.
Some might say second and third is the start of the coral reef right there.
It is, yeah. They've got their own coral reef there in the... How much are you being paid to get that into the broadcast, Austin? I want to know. I want a cut of it. But I tell you what, Austin. I tell you who's my pick today, who's going to give Savretic a really hard time. Travis Schwenke. I was watching him in practice, and Schwenke, he had 17 laps in the 126s in his practice. So not only has he put a lot of practice in, but I think he's not showing all of his pace there. In GT3, well, what can we say about the wonder kid, Elvis Rankin? You know, we're lucky, Austin, we get to commentate on the Ricmotech series, all three of the Ricmotech series, every Monday night. And, well, it just seems to me that Elvis Rankin is just getting better and better all the time. And that's a scary prospect for his competitors.
It honestly is. That age that you're at, with 13 all the way up to 20, that is when your driving really develops and forms, and you start getting better. You start learning on how to get better. Sure, there's that odd spot when you're 18 to 21 where you might think you're the best guy in the world and you kind of put it all behind you, but using that development cycle that you're just constantly improving. It's going to be scary to see this kid in about 5 years on a real track to see how much pace this guy has.
Absolutely, I'm really looking forward to seeing Elvis's not only his sim racing exploits, but his real world racing. Of course, he does race in the real world in quarter midgets and bandoleros. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but yep, it's been super exciting to see him race in. 1 week he's in a Spec Miata in the Classic Sprint Series, and now he's in his Ferrari in the GT Challenge, and we'll also see him in his Cayman GT4 as well in the sports car series as well. So looking at the moment on track, looks like most of our drivers are done for their qualifying session. So looks like we're going to see Denis Savretic and Elvis Rankin taking their respective pole positions. Now, it is quite a short track here at Zolder, so we'll need to see how lap traffic gets on.
Yeah, lap traffic is going to be a big part here because Zolder, it's wide at times, but it's also very narrow. And I must say, it's extremely narrow at 3 points of this track. And all three of those points are the chicanes. You got the chicane at the end of sector 1. That is probably the most tricky chicane in the world. You don't even want to go side by side in there. It's going to cause a massive congestion. Then you got the second chicane, which is before that right-hander. That one is fairly reasonable to go through side by side. I've seen it done a few times. And then you got the final chicane, where it's really treated like two separate turns because it's extremely separated than the other ones. But going into that final turn, you definitely don't want a car on your inside or outside right there because that will hurt you going into down the front straight and into turn 1.
Yeah, that's one thing where it's going to be really, really tricky. And we've got to watch because the drivers, their incident points are collected over the season, and they have limits to what they can do. So, of course, if you cut over the chicanes, that, of course, will get you some incident points, and we might even see, Austin, some slowdown penalties causing some problems. But that first chicane, the Klein chicane, well, if you do cut it, well, even if you don't get a slowdown penalty, you can do some serious damage to the underneath of your car as well at that particular chicane.
Can't agree with you more right there. And I just want to shout out Marco Barbronera, good friend of Apex Racing TV, and another commentator as us, as he has helped us and Dennis identify a audio issue, and now I believe we're sounding crystal clear right now.
That's always good news. I have to say, if I could decide of what listening to us, Austin, or listening to the wail of a 911 RSR GTLM car, 4-liter naturally aspirated, I'll be honest, I like you, but I'd choose the Porsche every time.
I'm pretty sure I would choose the Porsche as well. I'm pretty sure a lot of us.
We've got our yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Porsches, we've got our safety car out, so we should be gridding up shortly. Pole position then is Denis Savretic in the BMW. Alongside him will be Justin Corral, beside Jonathan Corral in third. Fourth will be Travis Schwenke. Watch for him in the BMW. Fifth is Orion Collins. Sixth, Jen McDonald. Great performance in qualifying for her. Seventh, Mike Dam. Always thereabouts in the 93 Porsche. Eighth is Arthur Chan in the 87 car. George Feike in the 09. And ignore that 10th position and the 11th position. Let's move on to the GT3 runners. Tell us how they're getting on, Austin.
Elvis Raikkonen's on pole, 2/10 ahead of William Dillon, who'll be starting right beside him. They're followed by Kevin Hawkinson, Matthew Molnar, David Duino, Kevin Martineau, Nathan Manning, Caleb John Lavender, Tyler Guilmetti, Bobby Childs in 10th, followed by Chris Thornman, and Kevin C4 with Anthony Kernon and Tony Kernon in 13th, followed by Derek Holland, Steve Daniel, Joel Lee, Jeff Jacobs, Loski Diolio, Raymond G. Rodriguez, Russ Ruddick, and Ken Ladd, who didn't set a time in qualifying, lines up at 21st.
Yeah, Ken Ladd, of course, won that. Probably the craziest race I've ever seen, Austin, that we commentated on a couple of weeks ago in the sports car series with the TCR cars.
Oh.
And Ken Ladd was very much, he was the profiteer of the two leaders crashing into one another. Looks like we're just waiting on 2 more cars. We will be ready to go here at Circuit Zolder in the Limburg region of Belgium. Beautiful part of the country. Our Porsche 911 safety car is sitting waiting, ready to take our drivers around for one short warm-up lap. And for our GTE runners, this is very important because these cars, they do not have anti-lock brakes. So it's important for the drivers there to just get a little bit of heat into the brakes on the warm-up lap. Tyres also, of course, and that will really make a difference going into Turn 1. Turn 1's going to be fascinating, Austin, because there is quite a few lines through there, and if you want to put a dive in on Turn 1, you can, but there is potential calamity for the person who will take it.
Yeah, these cars without anti-lock brakes gotta be so precise on it. But the anti-lock brakes are going to allow these cars to just slam down onto them, and they can stop all of a sudden much quicker than the GT3s.
But the GT3s do have anti-lock brakes, the GTEs do not.
Yes. I'm saying
the good thing is you can. Yes.
What I'm trying to say is the GTE cars can stop extremely quickly. It's just they have to dance with the without the anti-lock brakes.
Correct. Yes. That horrible feeling when you just get that little pinch of the tire or the lights when they come on the traction control as well, or that you'll see on the dashboard. So here you go. This is going to be a problem chicane throughout the race, and don't forget as well that our GT3 runners, if you didn't think the lap time wasn't already impressive enough for those guys, they've actually got a 5% power reduction to help them to be easier to lap by the faster GTE cars. So that just makes Elvis Rankin's pole position time even more impressive. So round here at Zolder, I suspect that the fact that it's a short lap and it's a really tight lap traffic is going to be an issue. I would say about lap 20 or so is about when we should start seeing lap traffic being an issue. So that's going to play into the fuel strategy as well, which we'll talk about throughout the race. So our GTE runners will be close to taking the green flag. The GT3 runners very much socially distant, further back in the lap. They're just heading up over around Sacraments Hill and through the Terleman to Balderberg. There is some real mouthful names for corners here, but we're about to come across the Jackie X bend now. And Dennis Savredic, our championship leader, will lead away the Starling pack GTE cars. Mostly Porsches and BMWs. We've got a Ferrari in there and one Ford as well. This isn't, yes, this is, I will talk about this in a second, but here we go. They were just waiting for Dennis Savredic to open up that V8 in the twin-turbo V8 of the BMW M8, and we are go, go, go here in the Ricmotech GT Challenge at Zolder. And look at the start from Dennis Savredic. Quick start from him. He's through turn one cleanly, and he is off. Business as usual for the 79.
Savredic wasting no time. That's the GT3s lining up, and here goes Elvis Rankin ahead of the entire GT3 field. They're already going 3 wide for second place.
We go then watch this turn one, but Elvis Rankin, he won't mind. He's gone. He hit the nitrous oxide in that Ferrari in the number 1 car. He's gone, and for him, he'll want to just get his head down now and put in some good qualifying style laps and try and open up that gap. Yes, if you're wondering why the GTE cars were knocking over cones there, they were actually avoiding the last chicane by the order of the steward. So they were all doing as they were told there, but quite unusual to see cars pinging cones out the way on lap 1. But look at Elvis Rankin. What can you say about this young man? He's just clearing off, negotiates the climb chicane perfectly up Sacraments Hill, and he is off. Look at that, 1.6 seconds he's opened up in about half a lap.
I think there might be some discussion if he jumped the start. He just got onto the radio and the marshals are communicating with him. There might be some communication between him and the marshals if there was a jump start involved. So it might explain why he's already 2 seconds ahead of the field, but it was a great start for Elvis. We might see if there's a penalty assessed though.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Thanks for that, Austin. So they head into the Jackie X chicane for the first time, the GT3 runners, but back at the front of the GTE class, well, look at this. Dennis Savredic, the absolutely extraordinary start to the race for him. Don't forget, he won the GT3 series last year. He's graduated to GTE category for this season, and well, off to the perfect start. But he's got number now. I'm going to see these corrals. They've got their cars painted identically as well, which is not so commentator friendly. We'll need to give them a different paint scheme for next time. So there we go, number 79, Dennis Savredic under pressure from the 115 of Justin Corral. So we've got Justin Corral in the 115. We've got Jonathan Corral in the 115.
Yeah, Jonathan Corral has dropped down the bridge a little bit. Another incident is happening in the GT3 with Hawkinson. Kevin Hawkinson has dropped all the way to the end of the GT3 field, and he kicked up a lot of dust from what I saw behind the fence as we were watching the GTEs go through the Klein chicane. Here is a replay of Kevin Hawkinson, who heads into one. And he was just second at the time. It's just too much speed into there. Kicks up a lot of dust. And the entire field passes the 124 right there.
Oh, that really hurts when you've got to sit there and watch the field go by as well. There's nothing you can do about it. But that Audi, the mid-engined Audi, they've got a big 5.2 litre V10 lump in the middle, and it can be pretty twitchy. And when it starts to twitch, but quite a short wheelbase as well, it starts to twitch, well, it's gone. So it's not the friendliest car in the world, but if you can tame it, it's got great traction as well. But, tell you what, look at Elvis Rankin, 1 minute 30.7, 8/10 quicker than Molnar in second. in the 188 Audi. That is, yes, that is insane. Oh, but what's happened to Travis Schwenke? Travis Schwenke's dropped back to 9th now. He's got really strong race pace in that car, so I don't know what's happened to him. His grid spot, good start as well from Jen McDonald, who also has strong race pace also, but well, it's the 115 Justin Corral that's not on season 4.
Yeah, Travis Schwenke behind that Ford. It looks like he has to face that Ford. With that update, kind of drives like it has four-wheel drive, and it's a bit more zippy coming out of the corners. But I do want to say one thing: seeing that M8 behind that Ford is a very funny sight. It just dwarfs it.
Well, this is if you're new to the Ricmotech GT Challenge series or sports car racing in general, welcome to Apex Racing TV. Great to have your company. And you might be wondering, you go, wait a minute, how does a BMW M8 big luxury cruiser just drive past an exotic Ford GT prototype? Homologation special. Well, it's the three letters BOP, balance of performance. It's something we see in the sim racing world and in the real racing world, where these cars are all balanced out to a certain level of performance. So if they're too fast, they'll slow them down, or if they're too slow, we'll help speed them up. And they'll do that by adding weight or taking away weight, or reducing the air restrictor systems, or changing the turbo boost allowable as well. There's lots of different ways they can do it, and we see it in the real world. For example, Corvette, who have gone on an absolute tear, 3 wins in a row in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. Everyone's saying that their BOP is off, and it is always a discussion where the BOP or the balance of performance is it set accurately, but usually, in general, it works very well.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. It's pretty easy to set up BOP here on iRacing because the same driver could drive each car and set a lap time in that car around each circuit, and they can write down some notes and they can get that BOP directly on the points. Real life, it's kind of a bit different. You're going to have to go by the results mainly.
Yeah, you're spot on there, Austin. Of course, the balance of performance in iRacing is set by the iRacing software developers, who a lot of which are very accomplished sim racers, right? And of course, as you rightly say, they can do lots of laps in each car and take all the data and really get as even a playing field as possible. In the real world, it's open to all kinds of interpretation, politics, sandbagging, you name it, it can happen. And funnily enough, the Ford GT, when it first came into service, that was one of the worst cases of sandbagging I think I've ever seen, where all of a sudden they found 5 seconds in 2 weeks before the won.
Yeah, good old Ford playing that game.
So did Ferrari. Ferrari found just as much, so they were at it as well. Anyway,
Ferrari,
I tell you,
edition.
yes, exactly. So here we are, the 118 then of that is now that.
Ryan Collins.
Yes, I thought that's what I thought about. He's in a similar livery car to the Corral guys. Now, are they brothers, do you know, or are they father and son?
I'm not sure, but the Coral, those two guys, they're definitely related.
That's for sure, yes. That's for sure. They're together in the reef, right beside one another. But yes, Ryan Collins. Oh, look at Mike Dam. Mike Dam, one of the real regulars across all of the series here in the Ricmotech series. We saw him battling away in a spec Miata last week, and here he is in the exotic Porsche 911 RSR. 4 litres, naturally aspirated, 500 horse flat 6 engine in it. It's not a racing car, no, it's a musical instrument on 4 wheels. It's a beautiful machine.
It definitely is a beautiful machine. That Porsche is so slippy. You don't get a lot of draft behind it, as Jennifer McDonald just trying to stay with Orion right now, but he is on his bumper right there.
She is indeed, and Jen, she's in the BMW M8, and she actually takes her own BMW in the real world out to NASA track days. And I have to say, I had to Google that, but I thought, well, wow, she does track days with astronauts, but I understand there is a racing governing body in America that NASA is the abbreviation, I suppose you
It is the abbreviation. As we have our first pit stop taken, and that's Kevin Martineau. And oh, that Ferrari has seen better days. He's got some damage on the back area. He's got a lot. He's got a lot of damage on the right side, so I'm expecting a lot of oversteering to the wall. The 112 has met.
There is a lot of parts of this circuit where there is virtually no runoff. So yes, and there is a nice hard guardrail waiting for you. But the guardrail certainly hasn't found Elvis Rankin's Ferrari, and he is cleared off. Look at that, over 6, nearly 7 seconds ahead of the nearest competitor. So he'll be hoping he doesn't get a penalty. Now let's talk about fuel strategy. Now you seen something, Austin? What do you see here?
Seconds. William Dillon, he's just headed to the pit lane, and this was a car pit stop. I thought there was an incident that brought him in there, but no, William Dillon actually headed into the pit stops on his own.
Now this could be the perfect time to talk about it. Let's talk about GT3 first then, because Dylan is a GT3 runner in the Ferrari. Now, the pit lane window, the fuel window, is between lap 8 and lap 38 in this race. So anywhere between that time, you should be able to come in, fill up with fuel, and then make it all the way to the end of the race. So he is right on the very first opportunity for that pit window. So he might have to do a little bit of fuel saving just to make sure he gets over the line. But that's interesting that we've seen somebody take that fuel window. It's very wide. It's much wider than normal. In the GTE cars, we're expecting somewhere from lap 15 to 37 for them to come into the pit lane. So quite different for them. But for the GT3 runners, it's fascinating we've seen someone go out of sequence so early.
I'm not surprised by it. Hey, if you have Elvis Rankin right there and on a very tight track, the undercut will help you a lot. He's just avoiding all the traffic around him. He was in a three-way fight for second place. That was slowing him down from catching Elvis Rankin, so he's going to separate himself from the rest of the field, rejoin the track on his own, and run his own race. He's going to be looking at the long run game and not focusing on the short game.
Now, this is the fascinating thing about this format, Austin. We've got 75-minute race today, we're 11 minutes in, but if you're in the GT3 runners and you take the early pit stop, when you come out, you're obviously going to be a lot closer to the GTE, the faster class guys coming through, and that's obviously going to upset your rhythm a little bit as well. But as you say, I guess you're trading off, profiting from a cleaner track later on in the race, aren't you?
He's profiting on a clean track right now. Later on in the race, everyone's going to be in a very dirty track. It's going to be extremely crowded around you, but you're going to be having GT3s and packs of GT3s battling with each other. If you're staying by yourself for most of the time, you're not going to be catching up with the rest of the pack, but you're going to be making up ground by not being involved in multi-car battles and having to deal with GT3s constantly on your inside, trying to get onto the inside of your battle. So if you're running by yourself, I would say that's the best point you're going to be at this race. And Elvis Rankin, 7 seconds ahead of everyone else.
Mighty impressive from the #1 driver in P1 right now. And it's interestingly, the GT3 runners have got a huge amount of Ferraris in this field. Of course, we have the Ferrari 488 GT3. As we see, oh no, Schwenke's got locked up on the brakes. See, there we go. There's what you were talking about, Austin. For the GTE runners, they're already, this is earlier than what I thought. The GTE runners, they're coming across the slower GT3s already, and that's cost Schwenke a huge amount of time. And don't make no mistake, he's got a lot of pace underneath that BMW M8 and the 16 machine. So that was my worry for the GT3 runners that have pitted early, that they're going to get maybe slightly bothered by the GTE runners coming through. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, that was Anthony Kernan and the #7 Ferrari that was around the outside. He gave Schwenky the rim onto the inside, but that double right hander that they were going to, it's kind of acting like a hairpin, really. It just, if you don't have the breaking point right, it's going to either mess you up or mess up the other car that's right beside you, and he didn't want to hit that other car, so he locked the brakes and got into the grass. That spun him around right there. As we have a battle for second right now, side by side, and Lavender around the outside of Milner.
Yeah, great move there from Caleb John Lavender in the number 9 machine. And let's see if he's got anything to say for Elvis Rankin, but he's got a bit of clean track now. And like you said, Austin, especially here at Circuit Zolder, that clean track is just gold dust. You want to just keep it and hold on to it like a teddy bear as much as you can. As we head up towards the Klein chicane, this really, really tricky chicane. Normally, chicanes are often quite new additions to race circuits to try and slow them down, but that actually went in before Formula One came here for the first time in 1973, when my fellow sideburn enthusiast, Sir Jackie Stewart, won the race in his final Formula One season.
I have a Sir Jackie Stewart book.
So do I. Is it winning is not enough?
Yes, it is.
Yes! There, oh, snap! Oh, there we go. Did we just become best friends?
I think we did.
Yeah, he's a lovely man, is Sir Jackie Stewart. Done an awful lot for Scottish motorsport, along with his son Paul. They started off a lot of videos as a big retired Dario Franchitti and many others. But anyway, I'm getting nationally biased now, which is I'm sure there's no Scots in the race, I suppose. So we're looking at the number 5 there of Tyler Willamette in the beautiful looking Ferrari as well. So we head down to turn 1 of Erst, and if there are any Belgian people watching, I must apologise for my pronunciation of the corner names. They are a bit of a mouthful.
That's why I'm not attempting any of these corner names. I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube compilation highlight clips of how many times I've butchered names and said stuff differently than I said last lap. I'm avoiding those. But if you guys are interested in some Apex Racing TV hilarity, I believe there was a ARL GT highlight video of just commentator gaffes. As Coral and Shan, Coral swinging around the outside, getting a little bit loose on the exit, and Shan in that blood red Ferrari just nipping at his heels.
Jonathan Corral looking very strong here. I have to say I do like the gold wheels on the Porsche. That's very, very nice. So looks ahead of the beautiful Ferrari, heading down through the very fast Lucien Bianchi corner. Of course, very famous for Belgium. Heading down towards the Pine Chicane. Just cannot get this right. So tricky over the curbs. You've got to be really, really careful there, because if you get the car kind of pogoing and bouncing over there, you can get fired into the wall before you know where we are. Down we go then towards Gilles Villeneuve chicane. Legendary Gilles Villeneuve. Of course, last week with the Ricmotech series we were at Gilles Villeneuve with our sports car series in Montreal. Gilles Villeneuve unfortunately lost his life here in 1982 in practice for the Belgian Grand Prix, and the race only lasted another 1 year.
Yeah, Zolder is a little bit too tight for Formula 1 cars and Formula 1 cars. The F1 car around here would just be ridiculous to see. But I'm pretty sure this track does not meet great ones.
No, possibly not. I mean, it's a wonderful circuit. Unfortunately, it doesn't get as much use. It gets a lot of national and club motor support as well. But the SRO have come here with the GT series every year, and it's a wonderful occasion. But speaking of fast single-seater cars, Champ Car did come here in 2007, and they had a double header with Hassan and Holland, another brilliant circuit. And Sebastian Bourdais won the race, but those aficionados of the Champ Car series will know that, well, at that time, Champ Cars were absolute animals to drive.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Champ Car. When I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a Champ Car driver, and I started up that ladder, and it was pretty It was a pretty interesting sight to see Champ Car hit up some of these unique road courses that they went to. And I still wish they would race in the Cleveland airport because that track is just incredible.
I need to look that up after the race. Now,
It
look
is
at this.
it's an amazing track and it's a definite must-watch for a race.
Well, so look at this. Dennis Zavretic, he is now coming up against lap traffic already. So this is a little earlier than expected for Dennis Zavretic to come across the lap traffic, but he's made light work of one of the Mercedes runners there and heading off in hot pursuit of Kevin Ford in the number 32 Ferrari, our series organizer, who moves over, little dab of the brakes, and that very gentlemanly indeed from Kevin. And actually Kevin might have compromised himself a little, but actually it's lower risk at this stage of the race. Very clever, allowing the GTE leader through, and they can both carry on unharmed.
Look at this gap that Zavretic has pulled out on Justin Coral. Justin, he's now meeting that traffic that Zavretic just went into. He's got the 12 Ferrari ahead of him. The 119 Ferrari currently in 12th place. And oh, this is a risky move. We saw this caught out Schwenke going down to the inside with Justin Coral, making that look very easy. And Mike Dam having a little bit of trouble. He's going to swing around to the outside and use that Porsche top speed to carry on. But Dam did lose a little time to Coral.
Just a little, yeah. It was just when he caught really was pretty brave there coming into the Villeneuve chicane and was just able to get past the Ferrari. Mike Dam had to his way to turn, but Mike Dam's really been on a charge in that 93 machine. He's just worked his way up the field very, very nicely. He's in a podium spot right now, putting a lot of pressure on Corral in second place. So I wonder if Mike Dam will be able to do anything. Oh, as we see, we've got one of the Mercedes there, and there's a Ferrari in the background going right into the wall. So this is clearly causing a big issue for the GT3 runners, coming through to lap.
I'm not sure who that was. He was stuck on track for a while. It looked like I was watching the video stop right there in that position. I think he just might have got a bit wide. He got stuck in the gravel, just letting everyone by. He did get turned around right there.
Always a danger with multi-class sports racing. This is with only 2 classes. You can imagine in IMSA what it's like with 4 classes going on all at once. Everyone's in their own race, everyone's trying their best, and that's one of the skills that sports car racers must develop, is how, if they're in the faster class, how they get through traffic safely, or if they're in the slower class, how they keep their own race going without being a little bit of a danger to the faster cars coming through. But look at this side-by-side coming into turn 1. Mike Dam goes round the outside, no way! Oh, what a move! What a move from Mike Dam. I have to say, Austin, I've got a cap on and I am doffing it, because that was superb at turn 1 from Mike Dam.
Somebody took that moment, put it in a postcard and send it to Mama. That was a beautiful overtake round the outside in turn 1 by Mike Dam.
Yeah, Mike Dam's now steering this car with his knees, and he's high-fiving himself with his 2 hands up, because that was really, really impressive for the 93. And you know what? It wasn't even close to contact either. He had loads of room and he made it stick. He's flying in this Porsche, and I have to say, this is going to be great to watch. Can Mike Dam now get his head down and try and catch up with Dennis Zavretic? And you never know, Austin, we might have a challenger to the throne that Dennis Zavretic has currently got 1 Jeep on.
Yeah, Mike Dam certainly has the pace, and Zavretic in this traffic, he can get held up, and Coral's going extremely slow now. Mike Dam has just pulled out a 3-second gap to him.
What happened there? Let's have a look. Maybe, perhaps, not a place for a slowdown penalty, so let's have a look. What's going to go on here? Is it the lockable brakes? Yes. Now that is it's a beautiful car, the Porsche 911 RSR. Sounds beautiful, it's fast, lovely car. but it is tricky under braking. Although it is a mid-engine car, technically it's still a little bit more rear biased where the engine is mounted compared to its other mid-engine rivals, and that does make it a little bit trickier on the brakes, but not showing there coming into the downhill into the Boulderberg bend. But well, I feel that we this guy is so good, Elvis Rankin, that we don't get to talk about him enough because he's just driving the perfect race again.
No mistakes so far by Elvis Rankin. I'm afraid to compliment him because I have a history of cursing anyone I compliment. So, Elvis, extremely great start. Up 8 seconds. All right, I'm going to give it to you before I accidentally just ruin this race for him.
Well, now I don't feel so bad about you not saying nice things about me, Austin. I'll take that.
I don't want to curse you, man. I don't want to curse you.
That's so noble of you to do that. So, look at this. Dennis Sabretic, he's getting really, really busy. And of course, the further up the field you get, sometimes you have some GTP runners who are perfectly happy to move across, and others who are like,
look at this.
Not here. Whoa, big move there. Oh, that was very, very tough move. That was Tony Kanaan in it.
He kind of jumped the curve down onto the inside, so a little bit of corner cutting, a little bit of naughtiness by Tony right there, but he did get past Lee.
So Tony Kanaan, if you say his name quick enough, he sounds like a 2013 Indianapolis 500 winner, Tony Kanaan. See, there you go. It just said quick enough. It's fine. Number 7 in his beautiful black Ferrari. Right well, but 40 seconds away from our leader, Elvis Rankin, in a race of his own. Now, just an update on Dennis Sabretic, Mike Dam. It's still sitting around. Oh, that's the 115. 115. Justin Corral, third. Yes, Justin Corral. Yes, he was in third place, just being passed by Mike Dam, so he was struggling a little. Let's see what's happened then. Talk us through this one, Austin.
Swirly on the entry. We saw that big bobble, got loose, got into the gravel, and boom, into the wall. And he drifted into the middle of the track, and he just stayed there, regaining himself and seeing the dance to his car. He's going down, but oh, that car has got a big gap in the front, and he's got suspension damage. As Elvis Rankin is now caught up with Travis Schwenke, or Schwenke is caught up to Rankin. I'm not sure which one is faster at this moment because Travis Schwenke has been having a lot of trouble. So he's been down the field a lot, but the first place GT3 is meeting up with the last place GTE.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they are. This is for effectively outright position in the race. So Elvis Rankin, he's doing a Porsche RS Spider, snapping at the heels of the Audi LMP1 cars. But wow, I don't know what has happened to Travis Schwenke because he put in more laps than anyone in practice, and the consistency of his time, they were really fast and really consistent. So I don't know quite what's happened to him in this race. It might be that he possibly could be that he's been in to take his pit stop yet. I don't know if he's been into the pits. Possibly that might be why he's now back in the clutches.
Lap 17, Schwenke went into the pits.
There we go. Okay, that explains it.
And somebody else that's just now heading into the pits is Justin Coral.
Yeah, well, I think he will be in there for a while. There's no repairs in the Ricmotech series, and as you said, Austin, he had big suspension damage. The car was really, well, it was crabbing really badly. When the car is crabbing, that's your race done. That's a lot of damage. Go on.
It's kind of in the place because crabs do live in the pool, so I'm not surprised to see that, but yeah, you can see it.
Well, I'm no marine biologist, so I'll have to take your word for it there. Oh, now. Looking at the front, speaking of, well, but I think we can cue the shark music, the Jaws music, because Mike Dam now only 2.8 seconds away from Sabretic, so maybe Sabretic just getting a little bit caught up in some traffic in his BMW, and Mike Dam, he's on a tear in his 911 RSRs. Oh, big rallycross jumps over the over the Klein chicane, and that will have made a noise that Subreddit will not want to listen to while leading the race. That would have been crash, bang, scrape of the underside of that BMW.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of right there, and maybe a little bit of ching-ching while a B-bang going over these jump curves right here. And be careful if you're going over some of these curves. This floor damage is a thing, and you don't want to have that, especially when you're leading this race. Not a lot of streets to open up the power of that M8, but it will definitely affect the aerodynamic performance of that car.
No question about it. In fact, no more so than this 911 RSR. You look at the back of that car, the enormous rear diffuser that was fitted to that car in 2017 when Porsche really had to rethink their strategy to fit into the GTE and GTLM rules in sports car racing. And they actually had to swap the engine and the gearbox around. Normally the gearbox was in front of the engine at the back, and now they basically swapped it, put the engine in the middle and the gearbox in the rear, even though they still try to tell everyone it's a rear engine car.
That is
but
tight.
that was very tight. Good move there from Mike Dam. He runs a little bit wide. He's on the gravel. Oh, that was close. The Audi there in 4th place. That is Guino giving him absolutely no courtesy at all. But Mike Dam's passed safely. But yes, they moved the engine forward to fit. You'll see that carbon fiber device on the back of the car on the floor. That's a diffuser. That's squatting the rear of the car into the ground and creating grip, creating lap time. As we see, that's going to
that
penalty as well.
That bit him right
That
there.
did.
That chicane is so hard because you're going in it, coming out of turn, preparing for another turn, and when you're going through chicane, you got to think about which part of the chicane you're going to enter. It's kind of like the Limeout Park chicane when I went there for my professional license test. The instructor says, you see that first chicane, you kind of actually want to miss the first apex and aim for the secondary apex. That's the one where you're getting the power out. So you kind of want to miss the first chicane to capitalize on the second chicane. But here at Zolder, the chicanes are so tight, you can't really do that. And you just got to force the car through, maybe take a few jumps. But you saw Mike Dam, he kind of cut the second chicane a little bit too much and had to jerk it back right to avoid taking a jump on one of those massive evil turtles right there.
Yeah, there's certainly an evil turtle, not a friendly turtle at all. I tell you what, there's been such a marine biology. We've had turtles, we've had crabs, we've had corals. I wonder what next. We've had sharks, we've had, I don't know what form of we need to start talking about fish next, I think. Austin is Mike Dam. Well, look at, I'd have to say, we've got to give a shout out to Jen McDonald. She's up in a podium place right now in her BMW. It's a little bit further back from Mike Dam, but running strong. That car's looking nice and clean, lapping very, very good. And I have to say, watching her pace in practice, she was lapping very, very strongly also, putting plenty of laps in. You see those 3 green lights dotted about on the side of her car. She is 3rd in class, so and goes 3rd overall in the top class. So good news for Jen in the number 99 BMW. But I tell you what, I wonder when we're going to see our GTE runners come into pit lane. We've had a half an hour, 32 minutes, sorry, of the race. So we're approaching half distance very, very quickly. Getting towards we're right in the middle of the GTE fuel window. So right now, expect to see these guys come in.
Now we saw one pit stop already. I think that was due to damage. And Kevin Hawkinson going down to the inside. And that's that car going wide was Holland, but Hawkinson making a great move in this great fight right now. You see that 4GT just stuck back there. He's got nowhere to go, and he's actually just gonna. Oh my goodness, something's happened there. Tony Gernand went into the pits, but that Ford was he was a bit confused right there.
Yeah, I think maybe the Ford just saw all the action going on in front of him, and he just thought, you know what, Mikey, he just thought, you know what, I'm just going to come into pit lane. I don't want to fight my way through that. I'm in the pit window. I can come in, get some fuel. Not expecting our drivers to take tires.
I think there might have been contact with the Ford because it was kind of a last-second decision. Can we get a replay on Vikings pit entry?
So we'll our producer Dennis Branch hopefully be able to get us a replay of that. So let's have a look then. Well spotted, Austin, and it's just...
Oh, there was damage.
Oh, there was. Well spotted. It just blinked just at the wrong moment for me, and you're right. Yes, he's got a look at that. He's got big damage on the front there, so that's not ideal at all. However, if you're going to take damage, that's the place to get it, because he can at least go into pit lane and get it sorted and then get back out there.
Yeah, Zolder's the land of chicanes. You got chicanes on the racetrack and a chicane entering pit entry.
I think it's got to be one of the more difficult pit lane entries, a bit like Le Mans, where, well, Le Mans is when you're in the middle of the night, you're
lost.
tired, and yeah, oh, you can.
Trust me, I did.
Pit lane? So, Mike Dam, well, that gap just looking pretty steady now. We see the Ford's back out there again, so that's good news for Fight. But he's going to lap down on the leader, but he'll get that back when Savredic comes into pit lane. But Dennis Savredic, so far, well, he's been, I think he must like Belgium, because he has been absolutely perfect at Spa in race 1. And a few weeks later here at Zolder, he's just driving flawlessly as well, almost robotic in his consistency. So must be something about the I tell you what, Austin, I've been lucky to go to Belgium a number of times, and honestly the fries, the French fries they have here with the special mayonnaise, oh my goodness, they are good. They are really, really good. And apparently the fries at Zolder are particularly famous.
It might be the fries. I was going to say something about Belgian waffles, but I've never been to Belgium, but I've had the Belgian waffles.
They have lots of good things. They have the Belgian beers are my favourite anywhere in the world. There's a beer called West Vleteren, which is made by monks, and there's no label on it at all, and you have to go, and the monks don't speak. You just put your money under the counter, and then they basically give you a case of beer. It's legendary. I have a couple of bottles in my cellar, and the children will love it.
Well, I hope all this talk of food is not driving y'all absolutely hungry. We'll be right back here at Zolder as we head into a little bit of an ad break.
Welcome back to the Ricmotech GT Challenge here at Zolder. What has been an intriguing race so far. The GT battle just about heating up now, with Mike Dam charging through to second place and chasing down Dennis Savredic. Neither of them have come into pit lane yet, but we're expecting them to shortly as we approach the distance in this race. But it's been a real cracker so far. In GT3, well, it's been the Elvis Rankin show. He has been extraordinary, commanding an 8.8 second lead from Caleb John Lavender in his Ferrari. So Elvis has been the star of the show in GT3. Let's see if he can keep it up for the second half of the race.
Yeah, Elvis is just... There's that level that most drivers are on. Some are a bit higher than it. Elvis has climbed over that level and kind of jumped it a bit, and I feel like I'm complimenting too much and I might curse him a bit, so I'll stop.
I'll carry on then. You know, if you're just joining us, this man on your screen here, Elvis Rankin, 13 years old, and long-term 13 years old as well. And I have to say, I did play a lot of, at that time, what would that have been? Gran Turismo 3 at that time I would have played at that age, but I was nowhere near as good at that as Elvis is here on iRacing. It must be all that real world racing experience. Now there you go, there's the Ford GT of now losing in the Ford GT. That is Jordy Fike. He's got back going again after that little incident coming into pit lane, so that's why he's got back going again. Just trying to wait and see when we're going to see Dam versus Reddick going into pit lane. I have to say, what do you think, Austin? For Mike Dam, he's just in such a groove. He probably doesn't want to go into pit lane. He just wants to keep driving.
He's probably getting into that zone where you just zone out, and Zolder's a very, you feel the track. It's a very smooth, it's a very fun track, it's very rhythmic, and you kind of zone out when you drive it. Some people call that kind of the effect when you start zoning out, the Tetris effect. And Mike Dam might be in that Tetris effect right now. He's just increasing the pace, but he's kind of fallen off his pace right now. I believe Mike Dam has come up into some traffic.
That's in the traffic give and takes away in sports car racing, and it's certainly taken away from. Yeah, that's well, he's lap time. Spot on 120.27. That's still pretty fast for Mike Dam. So
Dennis Sabatech,
maybe the previous lap.
Sabatech's lap time was a 127.74, but he's lost half a second.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but anyway, but they can look at that. There you go, it's on screen. You don't need the time screen now. You see Dennis Reddick, he's just going into the climb chicane now. There he goes in the BMW. So Mike Dam can see him, and that's a big psychological thing. When you can see the guy, all of a sudden you've been watching the timing screen, you've been watching your delta, and then all of a sudden you go, there's a big black and red BMW. That's my carrot, and I'm going to chase it. So this is when we're going to see, this is going to be really interesting. Also, we've got to think Mike Dam, he will have used quite a lot of fuel and you might think, well, it's a race car with 500 horsepower, but the amount of fuel you use compared to your competitors can either buy or lose you time in pit lane. And if Sabretic's been able to cruise slightly and able to use less fuel, that means he has less time topping up in pit lane. So that's the only thing that might just hamper my pace towards the front, but let's see how it unfolds over the next little while. But we're coming towards the end of the GTE. It's always been held up by GT3 traffic. Get out of the way, Ferrari.
I almost thought there was contact between them right there. He was very hard onto the brakes, and he came screaming to a halt right behind that Ferrari, and all his momentum just went straight out the door. As Jennifer McDonald, she's heading into the pit lane right now, and I kind of want to make a prediction that Mike Dam in the next 2 laps is going into the pits.
Yeah, that rhythm might have been broken there. That's probably the worst bit of traffic that we saw from. Oh, Jen, no! Oh, we're totally impartial here, but no, she was going so well, but she's able to get it back going again, no damage, and now coming into pit lane to get a top up of fuel. Maybe possibly some tyres, given they might be flat spotted slightly, but maybe not, we'll see. But Jen was running so well on for a podium there, so we still might be able to fight back to the podium, but so easy to do, as you said, Austin, coming into the chicanes.
Yeah, with a very heavy car already, when your fuel tank gets extremely light, it's going to make the car behave differently. As Sabatech, 2 GT3s ahead of him, into turn 1. This is going to give Mike Dam a lot of leeway. Down to the inside goes Sabatech, side by side with a GT3 on corner entry. Now corner exit. He's going to have another GT3, and that GT3 is going to hold on to his inside line, and that's going to be compromising his turn a lot. And here comes Dam, broken under the 3-second gap for the first time. He's going to be tipping his hat to these GT3s, but now he's going to have to deal with these GT3s ahead of him.
Yeah, this is at the point where this is Mike Dam. He's been really good. He's been really polite to the lap cars in the GT3 class. Sometimes you see drivers just absolutely stand on the headlight flasher, and it's so frustrating. I remember Darren Turner, a multiple Le Mans winner with Aston Martin, he says there's nothing, he's in a GT car, there's nothing he hates more than prototypes flashing the lights at him. but this is Mike Dam. This is not the ideal time for him to come up behind the GT3 traffic. It might slow him up a little bit. It's gone above 3 seconds again. But this is just fascinating to watch. Although they're not right beside each other on track, that combination of how they handle the traffic and where they come across the traffic is vitally important. But Mike Dam just hampered a little bit by that Ferrari. But when is he going to go into pit lane? Both Zabretic and Mike Dam going right to the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm going to say this is the lap that Dam's going to head into the pit lane. Heading into 45 minutes, we're going to have a 30-minute sprint to the finish right now. So Dan and Zabretic was approaching it extremely well. Only 3 cars haven't gone into the pit lane yet in the GTE category. That is your top 3, Zabretic, Dan, and Collins.
Of course, as we talked about as well, Austin, you said Zolder, one of the has got chicanes everywhere, even one in the pit lane. It might sound trivial, but that entry to pit lane and getting that absolutely spot on, just those, this is where we're looking at tenths of a second.
You're going to need to take a racing line heading into the pit lane.
Oh yeah, definitely, and how you get in and out. Of course, the pit lane here is really tight, and oh, that's bad news for Dennis Zabretic. He gets blocked at the very worst moment.
And Zabretic, he's on the team radio. He's not happy because Dan is right behind him within 2 seconds now. These GT3s are side by side. Zabretic trying to go around the outside, but he's going to be held up right there. He's now side by side, and he's looking at that pit lane, and he's going to be held up either way into this brake zone. This could be game for Mike Dam, and he goes swerving into the pits!
You called it. I just thought, wait a minute, he's going to see this traffic jam in front of him and go, oh yes. So he's gone into pit lane now. Mike Dam, I tell you what, the entry to pit lane is important here, but the exit is probably even bigger when you've got to get on the gas. The tyres have gone off a little bit in terms of temperature. Let's watch how long he's going to be in the lane. Dennis Zabretic's got to go round once more, but if this is Zabretic's in-lap, well, it's an absolute disaster with the GT2 traffic.
Yeah, those GT3s were holding him up a lot. I'm sorry I got so excited about pitted, but from the angle I saw Mike Dam heading into there, I thought we were seeing a collision, but he took evasive maneuvers, went to the outside of the track. I've seen people take the inside line and try to just yeet it through there. And I believe that was a 6 hours of Zolder iRacing hosted event. That was it. It was pretty cool. When I saw that Twitch highlight, I think it was Cork who tried it.
Just interesting there, Dennis Zabretic taking a really aggressive line through the Klein chicane. Maybe some frustration creeping in, taking a lot of care, probably an excessive amount of care, but let's see if he's going to try and match Mike Dam's strategy. He might not have seen the Mike Dam's gone into pit lane. He blocks up a little bit there, coming into the Jackie X chicane, back on the gas again over the line, so Zabretic's going to go round once more. Tell you what, this is going to be fascinating to see how this filters out when Zabretic takes his pit stop.
Yeah, Dennis Zabretic, he's looking for that perfect in-lap, and don't wait too much because a pit lap time is 55 seconds. Mike Dam, very long time in the pit lane. Jennifer McDonald was in there for 51 seconds, and look at Dan, he's within 47 seconds right now. So if Dennis went into the pits right now, he'd be coming out in second.
Well, he's got to put in some qualifying laps, and we know he's got the pace. We know he's a fast driver. He's absolutely dominant at Spa-Francorchamps in race 1, but Spa couldn't be any more different than this particular circuit here at Zolder. Zolder is there's just nothing like it. It's an amazing track, completely different. But I tell you what, looking at the body language of this BMW M8 of Dennis Zabretic, to me, Austin, I don't know about you, to me it just looks a little bit more ragged. He's normally super silky smooth, but he seems to be really getting a little bit looser, a little bit more unsteady on the brakes, just maybe getting a little bit frantic that this race is getting away from us. Here he comes into pit lane then, so let's have a look at the time on the lane. Really fast into pit lane, look at that.
Yeah, That was a pretty much perfect in lap into the chicane, the pit lane, then the secondary chicane in the pit lane in front of the gas pumps right there as he heads into these beautiful Coca-Cola pit boxes. I'm totally not being biased about my favorite soda right now. That is certainly a beautiful red.
There's nothing better than a Coca-Cola out of a glass bottle, which of course was very much now I'll tell you a Coca-Cola story while we're in the pits here, Austin. In one of the very earliest runnings of the Sebring 12-hour, Sterling Moss actually slowed down and a photographer gave him a glass bottle of Coca-Cola during the race at the hairpin at turn 7 or 8, I can't remember. And he then finished the bottle on the way around the lap and then threw it at the photographer on the following lap.
Well, Dennis Ricmotech might give his pit crew a Coca-Cola right there because he's came ahead of Mike Dam by 5 seconds coming out of the pits. Now, his time going into there, 53 seconds. Mike Dam's time, 55. But he somehow held out a 5-second gap. Now, he was leading Mike Dam by 2 straight seconds going into the pits already. So that might have helped right there, and another 2 seconds. I'm not surprised to see this 5-second gap, but what a pit stop he had.
Yeah, so so he's gained about a second, possibly a second and a half in the pits, which would make sense that he likely been a little bit kinder on the fuel than Mike Dam, who quite honestly has been absolutely extraordinary in his charge through the field for the Canadian in the 93 Porsche. But now it's game on. Now there's not going to worry about any of that. Now it's just a straight flight. We know Mike Dam's got some good pace underneath that car, but I'll tell you what, Dennis Ricmotech, he recovered well from that incident with the GT3 traffic that really held him up. And now Mike Dam, he's got some traffic of his own coming up to the Jackie X chicane.
Very tight, especially on corner entry and mid corner. Actually goes up a little bit of a hump right there, and it's elevation change we have on the tracks. Mike Dam screaming down the front straight, passing that Audi one, and not being held up at all. But Savitech's still going away, but he's using a lot of time now because Savitech's dealing with a little bit of traffic.
Yeah, it's just of course here at Zolder, it's a very, very tight circuit, and like you say, when you come up to the chicanes and you can't, when it's only one line, you just have to accept that you've just got to just take your medicine. Look at this, like here, for example, Ferrari parked on the apex. He's just got to take his medicine and accept that his competitors will have similar instances where they will get the traffic as well. But I have to say, circuits like Spa, circuits like Zolder, Belgium, they're just absolutely, the heritage of motorsport in Belgium is fantastic. And of course Jackie X, who of course now has a corner named after him at Spa, as well as here at Zolder. What an incredible career he had. He actually wanted to be a gardener. He didn't want to be a racer, but he was so good at it that he decided to keep going, but would have preferred to have been a gardener. And he won, thank God he went as a race car driver. He won 6 times. He won the Spa 24 once, the 1,000 kilometres of Spa 5 times, 8 Formula 1 Grand Prix, and 2 Sebring 12, including one at the wheel of the gorgeous Ford Gulf.
And as we pass the pit straight, Elvis Rankin, haven't heard his name in a while, heads into the pits and gives up his lead as Caleb John Lavender takes over the lead, who still has gone to the pits. But now the pit lane is a buzzing with GT3 cars. Milnar's in the pits, Duino's in the pits, Manny's in the pits, Maleo's in the pits. Maleo, as we're still waiting for even more cars. Pit lane for these guys, and Elvis now coming out of the pits, hopefully not on traffic, and oh no, this could get a bit nasty, but it's very easy for him. Elvis Rankin exits the pits in 2nd place and avoids almost chaotic pit lane mishap, because that pit exits almost on the pit on the racing line.
Yeah, it's horrible, and it is actually where the old circuit here at Zolder many years ago is basically, whoa, as you see one of the Mercedes kind of jumped there over the climb chicane. Oh, so you could be running rallycross here at Zolder, you really could. But yes, that pit exit is where the original circuit actually, it was a part of the original circuit. But Elvis Rankin, once it's all shaked out, he should have a comfortable lead to take to the flag, and just got to keep pumping out those consistent laps that he's been doing all day so far. But interestingly, most of the GT3 runners taking their fuel right to the very end, running the tank almost empty. There wouldn't have been much left in Elvis Rankin's tank in his Ferrari, and well, now he's filled up with fuel. Not going to worry about that anymore. He can run to the end in 20 minutes.
That Mercedes that he just passed took a very deep brake zone right there, and almost got to the back of him as they're continuing their fight. And Lavender heads to the pits. There he is, and back in the lead, it's Elvis Rankin.
There he goes. The Wonder Kid himself, the 13-year-old Elvis Rankin. And I have to say, Austin, when we obviously we speak to him a lot because he's always in victory lane or at least on the podium, and he's such a mature and gracious young man, always thanking his parents and his grandparents for the help. Of course, for any young racing driver, it's a very expensive sport, whatever way you do it, and well, it takes a lot of sacrifice from a lot of people. In fact, a good buddy of mine, Ronan Pearson, he had his first round in the British touring car paddock in the Mini Challenge this weekend, and unfortunately the car burst into flames in his first race, and not the ideal start, but still incredibly gracious young man, and wishing him the best for the rest of the season. And Elvis, I'm sure he's got an equally bright career in front of him as well as a racing driver. Just back at the front of the GTE class, our top class, Dennis Savretic able to keep Mike Dam at bay. That gap hasn't moved much. Mike Dam maybe just getting a couple of tenths, but still relatively consistent. So Dennis Savretic steadied the ship, been able to avoid too much trouble with traffic, but still 20 minutes to go. That'll be a long 20 minutes for him at the wheel of that BMW.
Going to be a chess game. When are you going to overtake these GT3s? Because the GT3 is going to be deciding this race. Mike Dam, on pace, I believe, is faster than Savretic. He's got into that groove. He knows where it is. He knows what to do, but the GT3s have kind of been upsetting him right there, but somebody's been extremely upset. Mike Dam is not upset with him. Savretic, though, we saw that entire conundrum. Multiple GT3s have gotten in his way, but now that they're spread out, I don't think they're going to be in his way that much, but there can be a situation where Savretic gets into the back of a couple GT3s battling for position, and it's going to become a headache right now as we see Savretic coming down the front straight. Mike Dam coming down the front straight right now, and he's got that Ferrari in front of him. So that's going to be a bit interesting. He's going to him after turn one, though. This might hold up Mike Dam just for a tad second. And big bobble mid-corner. He's adjusted this to that speed of that Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Ford in the 32 Ferrari GT3, normally very, very disciplined, but there he goes. Look at that, brilliant discipline from Kevin. Just hardly lifts off, hardly loses time at all, but gives Mike Dam brilliant room at a point in the circuit where both him and Savretic have been really held up by other GT3 runners. So good stuff from Kevin Ford, our series organizer, as well as Mike Dam, full commitment there through the Klein chicane, heading up Sacrament's Hill down towards the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. And I have to say, Gilles Villeneuve, he really was one of the most naturally gifted talents of raw car control. I don't think he would have been a fan of his name being put to a chicane. I don't think he would have been a fan of chicanes. I don't suspect.
He's definitely not a fan of chicanes.
No, chicanes are boring.
Yeah. I was going to say something, and then I realized Abu Dhabi is a thing, and yeah, you're completely right. That is worse than an entire racetrack.
So, Mike Dam then up to, well, it's now just evened out again, 5 seconds, and Dennis Savretic holding strong under the pressure here from Mike Dam. And Mike Dam really has been putting him under the cosh a lot in this race. A brilliant charge from the number 93 man, and you just have to look at the time difference between the other runners. Now, interestingly, there he is, Travis Schwenke. We thought he'd had issues earlier on in the race, but actually he'd just taken a very early first pit stop, and he's now sitting in a podium spot, but he's got Collins right behind him, and Jen McDonald not far away either. After that spin, you've got to think she would have been involved in that battle for the podium without that little mistake.
Yeah, Jennifer McDonald was definitely in contention for a great finish, but Orion Collins is looking pretty fast, but compared to the pace that Schwenke has, he's a second slower than what Schwenke did last time. He ran a 1:28.99, and Collins ran a 1:29 time. And Dennis Sauerteig, he's running into a lot of traffic, so let's ride on board with Dennis as he navigates this three GT3 cars ahead, and then it was that trouble spot of 1, 2, 3. Then he's going to catch him. This is going to get very interesting. Watch how Dennis takes this.
Now getting very busy. We've got one of the flying corporate motorsports Ferrari there as well. We've got a slower GTE car with a bit of rear wing damage. That's the 115 of Justin Corral got involved in the instant early. Did you breathe in like me there, Austin? I
think everyone heard me breathing.
Yeah, Rush running to the 95 flying tortoise.
Oh, this is a
Ferrari. This is do you know what though? Look at that distance from Dennis already. He hardly loses much pace, but just hangs back and just takes some time there. Oh, the Ferrari moves across, just trying its best there, really, but down to the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, and this chicane just comes up on you so quickly. It's so easy to get out braked, and then you lose a little bit of time. You lose a lot of time. One of the most important sections on the circuit, managing it well. And this big old BMW Battle Axe, it is a stable car, really stable front engine layout, 4-liter V8 with two beautiful
and absolutely wonderful. GT3 pulled over to let him by, but that still held him up 5 seconds heading into there. It's now 3.3 seconds to Mike Dam behind him, and let's go on board Mike Dam, because he's about to come up off these cars now.
Number 911 RSR, full 4 liters, black 6, normally aspect. Just gorgeous. This is a beautiful, beautiful machine. Of course, Le Mans winner back in 2018 with in the pink colours with Michael Christensen, Lord Vantor, and
that was
Kevin Estra, and that is horrible timing. The 0.36 there, just holding up Mike Dam, and that's been really, that'll be painful for Mike Dam as he's just trying to get a little bit of time out here. Coming through just little bits, but it's seesawing back and forward, and that's what the traffic does.
Yeah, the traffic is kind of like water. Sometimes it's pretty cool, sometimes it just does some weird stuff next to you, just splash in the face, and maybe that water has a bit of a jellyfish in there.
It was going to come to something, that's for sure. So we've gone past the 1 hour mark, and I think we're nearly into double figures for the marine biology references. I don't know how we got onto that, but anyway, apologies for that. Coral, look at that, Mike. Yeah, Coral, that's it. Yeah, Mike Dam using the proper traction of the margin to get out of the chicane there.
Party
Yeah, absolutely. This is not what Mike Dam wants to see, and of course, now 3.5 seconds. He's just closing the gap down to Severick, but I think that's because Severick's just had to make his way through that Times Square traffic jam in front of him.
If it were, that was very risky by Mike Dam, but he's done waiting. He sees the party ahead of him, and he knows he has to get going because Sauerteig had to go through that as well. And now Mike Dam picking and choosing where he's going to try to send that relative racing orange car. And I think we're going to see a line chicane send like Mike Dam heading onto the brakes, hard into the line chicane, and taking a little bit of a jump right there.
That looks more like a touring car than a GT car. Of course, touring cars quite happy jumping curves, but GT cars not normally Very happy doing that as we see, bit of traffic again for Sevredic, and for him, you got to think he's got one eye forward on the traffic with one eye on Mike Dam. But Mike Dam, look at that, it's gone back up to 4.2 seconds, so it's just seesawing back and forth. No, Sevredic wide. Will he get a slow down there, do you think?
I don't think he will, but that would definitely upset him right there. He did get onto the radio. I'm not going to try to do what he said, but it wasn't happening.
Not fit for broadcast, you might say.
I don't think anything said over the radio will be ever fit for broadcast, especially on iRacing. Sure, you get those rare moments where they do, but I always have it off for a reason. So if anyone sees me on track and you're yelling at me, sorry.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't even concentrate on one thing, let alone having people now that is just, this is just impossible to call whether Mike Dam will be able to just bridge that gap, trying to get up. And you tell you what, you were right, that climb chicane send, my goodness me, you just got past that Audi R8 just at the very last moment. Look at that, that's much more his normal line through there, just a little hop over the curves, but it was a full rallycross job the last time round, and that's because he basically just had to throw it in and hope for the best, because that's what was required to get past the GT3 car. Speaking of, the 5th place driver of Ricmotech in the Ferrari is now providing, well, a blue roadblock here for Mike Dam. He's just as he can get round the outside and then to the inside of the Jochen Rindt corner. Yes, he can. Well done.
Yeah, this upset Sevredic. Last time he went down to the inside, got a big hunt of others here coming off the exit, but he got through there pretty well as Sevredic passing through cars on the chicane, headed down the straight.
That's what you want to see when you're a GTE runner. If you can get a free pass, a free kick to get past the GT3 car on the straight, that is the dream if you can do that. But there is, and then not even with the 5% power reduction to the GT3 cars, there's a massive amount of difference on the straight. Of course, here at Zolder, really there isn't that many straights, so it is tricky.
I was going to ask, what straight?
Yeah, exactly. They're very, very small and few and far between. So look at that. They can see it. Mike Dam can see Sevredic up there, but he's got. Oh my goodness me! That's like we have a street in Glasgow called Socky Hall Street, and that's what we say when we have a lot of traffic. We say, it's like Socky Hall Street today.
You know, Zolder kind of reminds me of a Formula E track, and it doesn't seem out of place. I would want to see a Formula E race here at Zolder. And speaking of, Mike Dam going wide into Zolder chicane, and he actually kind of crossed those curves a bit, but he was heading in there with a steam full of energy. And now Mike Dam passing the Mercedes, getting back onto the racing line, but now he's being held up by the Audi, and you don't want to see that.
Yeah, he's very lucky not to get right on the limit of the track, and will have got an incident point for sure, as he has to take not the optimal line at all into the jacket chicane, takes that late apex and back on the gas, get that 500 horsepower, 4 litre, straight 6, flat 6, open up, and off he goes over the line, and it's time's running out now for Mike Dam. This is it's been so tricky that the traffic gives, it takes away, and the gods of the traffic not quite in his favour right now as Sevredic's now escaping in the distance.
Yeah, is there another car on the circuit? I swear, it's just Dennis Sevredic. Sure, his car takes up half of it, but just look ahead of him. He is on a clean drive for a wild ride, and now Mike Dam is just caught up in a massive party. But Dennis Sevredic looks like he's just taking a good old run down the country road to the place that he knows and loves. In round 1, it was certainly the top step of the podium. I think he's about to do it again, because in under 6 minutes, this race is going to be over.
It is. It's gone past incredibly quickly, I have to say. I'd love to see more races here at Zolder. I think it's a wonderful hidden gem of a circuit. You know, everyone talks about Spa and Silverstone, and we all know the old favourites. But really, this is. I love underdog circuits. I love underground circuits, and this has kind of got that slight underground feel about it. But a circuit with real heritage. In fact, the circuit was actually opened in 1961 by the local transport minister, who actually cut, instead of cutting a ribbon, he cut some steel wire with a cutting torch.
I want to meet
That's how you open a circuit. That's how you open
and
a
have
circuit.
a beer with him. I don't even drink, but that makes me want to have a beer with him.
But interestingly, when the circuit owners upgraded the track to how you see it now, they consulted a man called John Hugenholt Sr., who also designed Zandvoort and Suzuka. And I have to say, if you've designed Suzuka, well, you know how to design racetracks.
Yes, Suzuka is a prime racetrack. I've seen some of the other proposals for Suzuka. I'm glad they chose that one.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful circuit. I was, as you know, I had the very good fortune to interview a Scottish motor racing legend, Alan McNish, and at the end of the interview, I gave him saying, "You can drive if you could drive any car in any circuit with any co-driver for your teammate, what would you choose?" And he chose the Audi diesel, of course, we won a lot of races in it, and Suzuka with Fernando Alonso.
Ooh, that's an interesting choice on a co-driver, but that's honestly a good choice. But I would assume Fernando would be more happy driving the car instead of being a co-driver. I'm taking this as Fernando's not driving, but if I was riding on board Fernando Alonso going to this season, I would have a smile on my face.
I think it was more in sport cars where they would do a driver shop. They would share the driving. Yes, you see. Yeah, 'cause actually Alan, when he was a test driver for Renault Formula 1 before he drove as a race driver for Toyota, that was when Fernando Alonso was first coming to Renault, and he one word he described that was really interesting. He described Fernando Alonso as ruthless. So 48 laps complete, 1 hour and 10 minutes, and coming up now, so heading towards the end of this contest here at Zolder in Belgium, and it's Dennis Severick who's been able to hold off the advances of Mike Dam quite convincingly, just hovering around 4 to 5 seconds or so for pretty much since the pit stop. So Dennis Severick has really held well under significant pressure from Mike Dam, and look at that, Travis Schwenke, a guy with a lot of pace, 45 seconds back in third place right now, so it's really been a hot pace set at the front between Dennis Severick and Mike Dam.
Yeah, Mike Dam's on fire, but I don't think he has the pace to catch up to Severick. I knew I was going to say it. But Dennis, man of other racing, just clean air, nothing can hold him back, and Mike Dam's falling back. Uh-oh. Something's happened to Mike Dam.
Yeah, looking on screen right now, he's running pretty strong. Maybe just made a small mistake there. Maybe had to take a slowdown, maybe. But also for Mike Dam, he's probably pushed hard enough at this point, I would imagine. Whoa, yeah, there you go. There it shows you he's, yeah. I think that will be the final warning for him, I would imagine, where he's pushed hard he's been pushed so hard all race, and really made the most of what that car has got underneath him, and charged through the field early on. Yeah, I would think that the Michelin tyres on that car are pretty dead by now. So given he will have been on them since the beginning of the race, and I think at this point he's probably going to say, okay, second place is good enough, I pushed him hard, but a good bag of points. And that's what Mike Dam does. We see him do that in the classic sprint series, and we see him in the sports car series doing that as well. He's always there or thereabouts, makes very few mistakes, and he just collects the points. And you know what? He'll be there at the end of the season, make no mistake.
Yeah, Mike's going to try to bring it home. As Dennis, he's going to walk it home. 2 minutes remaining here at Zolder, so we got 2 laps left for Dennis Severick before he takes another victory here in Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium's been very kind to him for sure. Well, yeah, Dennis the Menace Severick, he's certainly a menace to his to his competitors because they've not really been able to touch his pace. Mike Ham's been the guy who's got the closest, and certainly was certainly asking him questions, but he's just been so solid under the pressure.
I must say this, Mike Dam, I believe he's the biggest mover in our GTE field right now. I believe he's up 5 spots where he qualified.
Yep, he is indeed. Now, interestingly, look at the front splitter of his car. Now, we saw him hop over the curb there. When he hopped over the curb, yes.
Damage.
Yeah, that's new. I think that's from when he hopped over the curb. I'm trying to think what side of the car. Yes, because he hopped on the inside and that put him over to the outside. So I think that Mike Dam's maybe just taken a bit of front splitter damage, and he's now gone, okay, back off. He's got plenty, obviously he's got a lot of time behind him. He's got 41 seconds back to Travis Schwenke, so he can now just coast that car home from here.
Schwenke had a very interesting gamble, and I loved how it paid off. He's on the podium now. From the moment the pit window opened up, Schwenke said, "Mine," and he went directly for it.
He did indeed, and interestingly, if you remember, it's easy to forget that he was pointing backwards into that hairpin at one point, I think on lap 2 or 3, and was really on the back foot. But he always had this podium pace. Watching him in practice, he was so consistent at the wheel of that BMW. So many 1 minute 26 second laps, which is a seriously hot pace. And actually, although he didn't have the outright fastest time in practice, he had probably the most consistent pace of everyone, with Dennis Rettig only taking a short amount of practice before coming into qualifying. But my goodness me, it looked like he needed it, because here we go then. He will be ready to take the checkered flag here for the second victory from 2 races here in the Ricmotech GT Challenge. 51 laps of racing around this beautiful Zolder circuit, and it's going to be Dennis Savreddick in the BMW taking the checkered flag. Brilliant drive from the BMW man. He's your winner then here in the Ricmotech GT Challenge, and not too long we'll have the Wonder Kid Elvis Rankin coming through as well as Mike Dam takes second place.
What a race Reddit has, and here's Elvis Rankin. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him, and usually you don't see car-on-car traffic, but Elvis, he does, and well, the car ahead of him is not really, I believe he's already a lap down, but Elvis just had such a race. We didn't really talk about it that much. Sure, I wasn't really wanting to talk about him because I didn't want to curse him by accident, but absolute perfection of a race by Elvis. Great start, great drive, 100% today, and no one can touch it.
No, absolutely not. Flawless drive from the young wonder kid Elvis Rankin, and he just on almost a parade to the checkered flag now, and he will be your winner as he negotiates the Jackie X chicane for the final time. Elvis Rankin then is your winner in the GT3 category for the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Brilliant drive from the youngster, and another great victory. We'll just get a few more cars over the line and we will be complete. Well, what a race that was, Austin. I have to say, Mike Dam, that's one of the best races we've seen from him. We know he's always there, but seeing him on a real tear, on a real charge, that was a pleasure to watch, I must say.
It was a absolutely beautiful race today. Not a lot of wheel-to-wheel action, but certainly a lot of action to keep us on our toes and make us very excited for the next round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics.
We're back in a couple of weeks' time here in the GT Challenge, and we have a special event, 90 minutes. Normally we're 75. That race will be 90 minutes, an endurance race at the Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans. And for me, I don't really get excited about Christmas, to be honest, Austin. It's fine, but Le Mans, that's what I get excited for. Le Mans week, that is when, well, that is my Christmas, is Le Mans week. And of course, Le Mans week now is, it's coming up. It will be in September when we go there for real. But here in the Ricmotech GT Challenge, we're going to have a treat when we go there in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, speaking of time, it's time for all these guys to head into the pits and get ready for our race results, but time for us to take a little bit of an ad break.
Welcome back to the Ricmotech GT Challenge, and what was a superb race here at Zolder Circuit in Belgium. So let's have a look at the race results with our GTE and GT3 runners. So we'll just wait for our graphic to come up and we will tell you how all your favourite drivers got on in the race. Here we are. Yes, so Denis Savretic taking his second win from 2 races this season, but he was chased all the way by Mike Dam, the impressive Canadian, in his Porsche. Rounding out the podium, despite an early incident, Travis Schwenke with that early pit stop, getting him up into the final podium spot. Great drive from Orion Collins in the 118 Porsche as well, with Jen McDonald in the number 99 BMW. A tale of what might have been for her. Had podium pace, just one little mistake just put her out of contention, but she'll be back for sure when we go to Le Mans in a few weeks' time. Arthur Chan in the number 87 was 6th, with Jonathan Corral in 7th. George Feike in the Ford GT was 8th. 9th was Justin Corral after that earlier incident. And that is your GTE runners. Austin, how did the GT3 guys finish?
Our GT3s... Alright, that is not the right lapping thing, because if that's true, Elvis Rankin has just lapped the entire field, but probably not. Elvis Rankin takes the win ahead of Caleb John Lavender, followed by David Duino, Tyler Gilmet, Matthew Molnar, Nathan Manning, Louis K. Diolio, Kevin Hawkinson, Bobby Childs, William Dillig, Kevin Ford, Jolie, Chris Thorman, Derek Holland, Steve Daniel, Russ Ruddick, Tony Kernan, Jeff Jacobs, Cameron Martineau, and Raymond G. Rodriguez. And I must say, the Cameron Martineau for Aquila Racing, he's the reason why I was calling the Corrals Coral. So y'all can thank him for that.
Oh, Austin, you've thrown him under the bus there. Or you've thrown him under the boat. Well, maybe we should say now. Well, we'll stay away from that. Now, I see in our interview waiting room we have our GT3 winner, the Wonder Kid himself, Elvis Rankin, joins us in the commentary box right now. Elvis, congratulations on another brilliant victory. Tell us how your race was today out at Zolder.
Yeah, for sure. Our number 1 Orion HPP Ferrari was on rails tonight all night from green to checkered. I was a little nervous about maybe some of the guys' pace coming into tonight, but I just told myself, let's execute in qualifying. Being on pole is a big advantage here, especially getting that big jump now on the restart's huge for me. And I thought I got a really good jump. Getting outside the draft range in about the first lap and a half was very good for me. And I just wanted to make sure that I could completely just keep executing and just hit my marks. I had a couple scary moments here and there with some of the lap traffic and stuff and getting lapped, but I think overall it was a super smooth, well-run race.
Certainly was, yeah. And of course, here at Zolder, such a tricky, tight circuit, completely different from Spa-Francorchamps. Now, how did you find it with the with the traffic? Obviously, you've got the GTE runners in the slightly faster class coming through. How did you manage that? Because we see so many drivers approach it in different ways. How do you really approach that with the faster traffic coming through?
The way that I approach it is just they're the faster class. You're gonna lose way more time trying to fight them through corners and get them all routed up. So I prefer to just pull over, let them have the advantage on the lane, maybe drag the brakes a little bit. I might lose 2 tenths, but I'm just here to not make anyone mad, just have fun and drive the best that I can drive for my abilities.
Yeah, very wise indeed. You're a young man with a very wise head on your shoulders. We're heading off to Le Mans next time. I was just saying on the broadcast before the end of the race that Le Mans really for me is like Christmas. I just love going to Le Mans any time of year. And of course, this Ferrari of yours, you should be pretty fast through there. Are you looking forward to heading over to the Circuit de la Sarthe?
I don't know, man. Those Audis got a whole lot of power, so we're gonna have to just see how everything all turns out. Yeah, I'm excited to go to Le Mans. The last time I went there, I had a little bit of some problems. A 90-minute race there at Le Mans. If I could just get a good result there, that'd just be icing on the cake for me.
Certainly would. Now, Elvis, I know you got a lot of guys that are backing you both in the sim racing but also the real racing world. Now's the time to give them a big shout out on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, for sure. First off, I want to just thank my team, Orion Race Team. They're such a good team. They just picked me up a couple weeks ago, and I'm so hyped and excited to be on the team. I want to thank Frosty St. Clair, my manager. This one's for him. I wanted to start out with the team with a good record. Prove that no matter what team or team, we still had a ton of speed in our car. My mom, my dad, and my grandma, my grandpa supported me on the real track and even in sim. They help me out with whatever I need. All the sponsors that keep us on the real track, we couldn't do it without our sponsors. We all know that, so thank you to them. I want to thank the Extreme 99 admins, Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, Russ Ruddock, Bobby Childs. Without them, we couldn't put on this league. We couldn't do anything that we could do. And then last but not least, you guys at Apex Racing TV, broadcasting the race for us. Tonight will definitely be a moment to watch tonight because I think hopefully maybe you guys got some good exciting racing in the GTE class because I'll definitely be going back, grabbing some popcorn and enjoying the race.
Well, that's good you'll have popcorn because you'll hear us talking about all the culinary delights of Belgium. We got a little bit sidetracked at one point while you were clearing off at the front of the race. So enjoy that one. That'll be good. You'll have some popcorn for that. Elvis, congratulations on a great race win. And we'll see you again very soon up here in the commentary box.
Thank you, guys.
That was Elvis Rankin. And, well, we are joined by not the GTE winner, but the man who came close to the GTE when Mike Dam joins us in the booth. Hello, Mike.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm okay.
So, not the win, but you are the biggest mover of this race. You had a very scary moment at the end of the race, which gave you floor damage. Was that the moment you decided to pull off the throttle?
Yeah, I caught that curb on the inside of what is that? Turn 4.
3.
Turn 3, 4.
Right.
Yeah, I'd missed that one all race, and I just happened to catch that, and I didn't realize it would do so much. But yeah, at that point, I mean, even there was like 3 laps left, and Dennis had he had too much of a gap. I knew I couldn't catch him. I was just running laps, trying to do what I could. You never know what can happen. You got to keep racing. So, but yeah, after that, my car was a little slow, so it's unfortunate.
Well, earlier on in the race, you were almost within 1.5 seconds to Dennis coming into the traffic. And on such a tight track, tell us, how does traffic compare on Zolder to some other tracks?
Well, yeah, the problem with this track is there's not a lot of places. There's a lot of short straights, and that's an issue when you get a train of train of traffic. So like at certain points I was 3-4 seconds behind Dennis there, and honestly you'd have to bridge that gap in between groups of traffic, because once you get a line of 5 cars braking for a chicane, like there's time in there that you can't make up. Like the gap just builds again. Like, so it's really difficult if the driver in front of you is not making mistakes and stuff. So
Well, it's a podium for you, and you are the biggest GTE mover in your class, so that's gonna put a smile on your face. But before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
just all the drivers, they race so clean. A lot of respect from the GT3 class today. So no incidents, just hard racing. So that's awesome. And just the league admins for putting this on, Kevin and Jeff, and Frank at Ricmotech for sponsoring, helping put this together. It's just an awesome thing. So, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting.
All right, thank you, Mike. Damn it, we're gonna go over to Peter McKay.
So that was Mike. Damn, you have to say, for such a softly spoken man, for such a wonderfully aggressive racer, fantastic stuff, and great to have a chat with him and hear how his race went. That's all that we have got time for here on Apex Racing TV. We sincerely hope that you've enjoyed the racing today. We certainly, Austin Knight and I, have had an absolute ball calling the action today. Don't forget, we have racing every Monday night here on Apex Racing TV in the Ricmotech series, sponsored by Elite Texas Graphic. Next week, August 10th, we are off to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal for our sports car series. And this is with the GT4 cars and TCR touring cars, the little Audis. And, well, I won't spoil the result for you, but if you go back on our Apex Racing TV page and look for the Sports Car Series Round 4 at Watkins Glen, I can assure you you're in for an entertaining race. One of the most crazy races I think I've ever seen. And then on August 17th, well, we have the jewel in the crown of the GT Challenge season, where we go to Le Mans for a 90-minute endurance race, which is going to be incredibly special. Of course, Le Mans, a unique circuit, a unique challenge for our drivers. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and a big thank you to our sponsor Ricmotech for sponsoring all of the racing here in this series. We look forward to seeing you next week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Have a good night, and thanks for watching.